Aaron, what's good?
Are
What's
you
good,
recording?
everyone?
Are you recording?
Recording. I am recording. Are you ready for this, or did I throw you off guard there?
Welcome to episode number 2 of the Urban
Urban.
Platform.
Yes, sir.
I'm
Okay.
Aaron, and I'm joined by Mo, who's on top of me. I don't know if it shows up the same on your screen or if I'm on the bottom of you, but
For me, it's
left,
side to
right?
side.
You're side to side. Okay,
Side to
Mo's
side,
on
man.
my left.
Um, for me, I'm on your
Better.
right, but let's see how the recording comes.
Okay.
And then-
I'm just pointing to you on my screen.
yeah.
So,
High
we
five.
high
No.
five, whichever
Okay.
way I'm high fiving. One thing, last week we didn't really introduce ourselves, and we'll explain a little what happened. So there's a lot of technology out there. We were trying Skype. It didn't fully work for what we wanted it to do. So we did an episode on Skype, but it didn't work out. So we introduced ourselves in that episode, but we didn't release that episode. So why don't we start from the beginning? I'm Aaron, and that's Mo. Um, and we're gonna do a little intro for ourselves. Mo, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, my name is Muhammad Ali Rashid, and I am the Urban Planning Association president. And we started this podcast series just to have some fun, just a way to connect with students, raise up some interesting topics, have a discussion on it. We're hopefully going to have more of our members coming in soon on the episode, so we're going to have more conversation rolling. It's pretty casual. We speak about some important things. There may be a discussion panel with professors in the future, but who knows? We're just going with the flow right now. We're trying to record an episode every single week. And yeah, I think that's it on my end. And I'm super excited to go towards this route. So, Aaron,
Oh,
please
thanks.
introduce yourself. VP
So I'm
Academic.
Aaron. I'm the VP Academic of the Urban Planning Association. Yesterday we got the T-shirts. So if you're listening to this podcast, I hope you're wearing your T-shirt and repping our brand. Um, so that's that. I'm a researcher. Well, I'm also a student, but I've also done some research this summer, and over the course of the coming weeks, maybe I'll share it with you. Um, what else about me? Oh yes, I also take acting classes. I do want to specify that we do this podcast for fun as well. Realistically, Mo and I would be having these conversations without doing this as a podcast. So these are topics that we're genuinely interested in. And like we would call each other and be talking about these development projects. So we're like, hey, why don't we turn our calls into something productive? And this is what we get. The Urban Platform.
So excited for this, man. And what's our topic with today? You want to introduce
So
that?
our topic for today is a really exciting project. It's the McGill College project, or Place de l'Avenue McGill College. But before getting to the project itself, Mo, I have a question for you.
Oh, no. No.
Now,
Please don't.
if you were to have breakfast, brunch, lunch, or dinner with a celebrity, A, which one would you have? B, who would you go with? C, would you let them pay, or would you pay for them? And D, where would you go? And E, what would you talk about? Tell me about your date with a celebrity.
Wait, is it a date or can it be just
Okay,
like
it's not a
something?
date, not a date. It's
Yeah,
just
because
lunch, breakfast. You pick what your meal is. You pick where you're taking them. You pick what you're talking to them about.
listen, let me just clarify one thing. If it is a date, it's gonna be a whole different scenario.
Not a
Rather
date.
not go, rather not go into that right now. But okay, so in terms of favorite celebrity, I would have to say Leonardo DiCaprio. Um, Brunch for sure, because I feel like he's a brunch type of guy, very classy, or a nice dinner place, a nice steak place. But I'm in the mood for brunch, even though it's evening. See, that's how messed up my sleep schedule is. So we would go for brunch to the Breakfast Club. It's a place here in Bursard on Tashro. And what was the other part of the question? So I would go with him, and who would pay, right? So
Yeah.
I would basically take up
Okay. And
like
what would
I
you
would
talk to him
definitely
about? You have
no,
an hour with Leonardo DiCaprio. What would you talk to him about?
I feel like the conversation would be very philosophical. Obviously, his work, going into it, the nerves, and how he dealt with his emotions coming into the industry. So I think that's one topic that is a universal topic with any actor or actress you speak with, or anyone in a professional career, right? So, and just taking their insight whenever you go through something similar in your life when you enter a professional field, I think it would be very useful, regardless of no matter how different his field may be from mine. I think I would just take it as a valuable lesson and valuable information.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great brunch. Thanks for the invite.
Aaron, listen, I always take you out.
I know.
Okay.
If I were to answer that question,
Yes, please. I was going to ask you the same question. Who would it be?
I have a tough choice. I would say that I would go for brunch too, because hands down, brunch is the best meal, most underrated meal too. Um,
Honestly,
I would go with Elon Musk.
good choice.
Um, and I would pay. I'd feel bad making him pay, and I would just have it. I guess it would turn into a philosophical conversation. But I would ask what one project, like, I would talk to him about all of his projects, but I'd be curious to see what project he's most excited for that he hasn't started working on.
Yep.
Maybe I could take his idea. No, I'm kidding, but I could maybe give him some advice on some ideas. That would be cool.
Mm-hmm. You know, I thought you were going to say Robert Downey Jr.
I mean, yeah, that's close.
Was that the
That's
second on your
third.
list? Oh, that's a third. Oh wait, who's the second then?
Bob Iger, the CEO or the head of Disney.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. There's also George Lucas, who I'd be interested in having a conversation with.
Don't worry. I think you'll get to the point where you'll be having a meal with them every single week.
Thank you.
Consecutively. Let's hope. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So, Aaron, let's discuss the Urban River. I'll be honest with you. I didn't do much research on this. I kind of skimmed through some articles. So you're going to be leading this discussion for this episode. You can ask questions. I can try and maybe ask questions. So you know what we'll do? We'll format it in this way, right? You bring up some major points that you've read and you've researched. I will question these points, and let's see if this research that you have done has any answers to my questions. So I think let's play it like that. Not any strict format.
Sounds good to me.
And I'll just, you know what? I'll read a bit on the side as well. Why not?
So a little bit about this project. For those of you who don't know, McGill College is one of the main arteries in the downtown core. It has one of the most lanes, and it's actually one of the streets that's actually 2 lanes in the downtown. 2 directions in the downtown core. There's a lot of them, like Guy, for instance, which is both two-way. But like if you look at Crescent, it's one way. If you look at Bishop, it's one way. If you look at de Maisonneuve, it's one way. So McGill College is really at the center of this front, and it connects a couple of key places in Montreal. First off being Place Ville-Marie. At the edge of McGill College, you hit Place Ville-Marie. You also hit at the other end of it, McGill College or McGill University. Wow, what a shocking name. And it's very closely linked to new projects that are happening in the city. So notably, recently they've completed the Highway 10 project, or the Robert Bourassa Expressway, or Urban Boulevard. It's a block away from Robert Bourassa. Also, in terms of Place Ville-Marie, there's a lot of private investment happening right now, and there's always work being done around the Bonaventure on ways to develop Place Ville-Marie. So it's being developed right now. So it's a major investment hub. Also, the Eaton Center with the recent expansion and the whole timeout market, which is a great initiative. All of this is within walking distance from McGill College. So very interesting project. What they plan on doing is not really decided. They have a major goal and a couple of important parts. And by they, I'll specify who they is as I go throughout. Also, with the REM, one of the stations is going to be on McGill College, notably the McGill Station. Oh, surprise! Wow, Montreal's original with naming its metros and buses and light rail systems. That's another topic, though. So it's near the new REM, which is set to open in 2021 for the Brossard branch and 2022 for the rest of the island. This project, so Plaster Avenue, McGill College, what it is, it's to aim and reinvent this avenue for the 21st century. That is the major goal with all these investments, whether it's underground, whether it's above ground, whether it's food, whether it's in schools itself, because there are a lot of investments happening at McGill campus too. It's really to reinvent this avenue and bring it up to speed for the 21st century, especially when you have Robert Barasta nearby and this new light rail system underneath the street. Um, One of the major aims is to slow down daily life, which I find hilarious because it's literally at the heart of downtown, and they want to slow down urban life. But either way,
Okay, one
interesting.
thing.
Yeah.
What do you mean by slow down urban life?
So this was just on their description of their project.
So what do you think they're trying to say with this? Because
Um,
that point stuck out to me.
based on the proposals I've seen, because the final plan hasn't yet been released. Just to give you a little timeline of the project, recently it's been there was a public consultation, then a massive design competition where a lot of firms entered, then the top 5 were contacted, and they
Okay.
resubmitted their projects. And the winning group is a group composed of Civility, Manda Works, SNC Lavalin, and a couple of other smaller companies. And they're the winning ones. They were announced like last week on October 16th as the winning ones. And based on their plans, by slowing down urban life, it's really a matter of reintroducing the pedestrian at the heart of downtown Montreal. It's a matter of increasing the amount of greenery in the area and making it like the urban lung that it is, but instead of having it filled with cars, having it filled with people. They want to make it a public square. And also with COVID, we're noticing how people have a desire to be in parks more. So they really want to recreate and create this park or avenue or public space at the center of the city.
So, okay, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah,
Okay. First
I'll
question
try
is,
answering them.
no, you know what? No, it's just, discussion questions, right?
Yeah,
So no
sure,
pressure if you can't answer them. Just, I guess I wanted to open some ideas up. Okay.
sure.
So any of the research you've done, right? Did you find any articles recently about it, like during the pandemic right now, or was this pre-pandemic research
So
or a mix?
I did the research this morning actually.
Yeah.
The articles I came across were based on the website for the design competition itself. And like I said, the design winners got picked last week. And the article I read was based on what happened last week and what was won last week.
Okay.
I've read articles pre-pandemic before it. I've heard of a public consultation at McGill College for it. And I'll get to the public consultation
Yeah.
process in a sec because it was actually like a really interesting and well thought out process.
Mhm.
And this happened before COVID, so it happened before all public consultations shifted to an online format. Um, Now, yeah, so I've done research before and after. The
Mhm.
project was still being proposed as it was because the design competition happened in March of this year. So this was really at the beginning of the pandemic and they had to submit their applications. So like, okay, the timeline for when they had to submit is unclear to me at this moment, but like, even if it was in June, they still had some time to reflect on it, but it wasn't at the forefront of their ideas.
Okay. And their whole initiative, more greenery on the
Mhm.
avenue, especially since this idea in theory sounds great with COVID happening right now, how people prefer being more in green spaces or open areas.
Yeah.
Thing is, I think we have to all keep in mind that how open can this area really be if you're expecting so many people to be on the avenue, more pedestrians. I feel like it could have an adverse effect just because you don't want to
It could
be
definitely have an adverse effect, but
like, I feel like the idea is there
I think
theoretically, but I feel like the idea practically won't work.
people is a problem that's easier to face and deal with than having cars on that street, right?
Yeah.
If hear me out, if you look around Place Ville-Marie, there's not that much open space, right?
Yeah.
There's the one at the corner of with the park there. I think it's called
Hmm.
like Place Robert Bourassa because of course it is.
Yeah.
The one on the top of Peel, if I'm not mistaken, right? There's that like
Hmm.
patch of green space, and that's
Yes. Yeah.
really
Yeah. Yeah.
all in the downtown core. So if you're telling me that the main goal of the project is to increase greenery, increase spaces for people outside, I think this is a great place to do so.
So you know what I just thought of when you spoke of greenery?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a good idea or not. Just something that came in my head. You know, alleyways, how pedestrians tend to avoid them. And I know we've had discussions, man, we've had discussions in the past in our classes to do with alleyways, to do with like obviously spaces in between buildings. And you know, they're deemed as unattractive, sketchy, who's in there, random trucks passing by for commercial purposes, um, commercial business purposes. So imagine if those spaces, and I know they're tiny, some of them are bigger than others, but imagine you had more greenery in those areas
Yeah.
and made them pathways to connect to. Instead of like when I look at downtown or go think of any city in general for the ones I visited, I always think of like either a straight path going left, right, head, or you can go back, right? But
Yeah.
imagine you had more direction towards your left and your right side,
Yeah.
right? If that makes any sense. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to
For sure.
imagine this. So I feel like these initiatives are being placed. I think we got to dig a little deeper in this case.
I
So
think we got to dig a little deeper, no pun intended, because the rhyme's going under McGill College.
mhm.
But what I do want to say though is you need a central point for these alleyways. Like even if the alleyways are to converge, you need a central point for them to converge to. And in the east-west corridor, you have St. Catherine Street. They're currently in the middle of redeveloping St. Catherine Street. So, and then in the north-south, Guy is not pleasant to walk up. Crescent, maybe, but Crescent has a different vibe than St. Catherine does.
Yeah.
And Crescent is known as Crescent.
hmm
Um, but like in the north-south corridor, there's not that much opportunities for people to have what they have on St. Catherine or have what they have in Cafeteria Spectacle, right? So McGill College runs north-south. And then, yeah, you have Robert Brassa and everything developed at Robert Brassa, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Those weird hand things and the stairs. It's a weird
It's
concept.
kind of scary, man.
Yeah. But that's still below Rene Levesque, right? Between Rene Levesque and Sherbrooke, there's no north-south corridor that's appealing to walk up.
Yep.
Like even Atwater, further down, it's not a pleasant walk in the north-south direction. And I think the McGill College project aims to solve that issue. Right? We just reinvested in St. Catherine. Why? Okay, St. Catherine's east-west, and honestly, Sherbrooke isn't that bad to walk. Rene Levesque is terrible to walk. De Maisonneuve is like not the best to walk. But you have Sherbrooke and you have St. Catherine. If you want to get between the two, you need a north-south axis that does the same.
hmm You know what I just started thinking about, man?
Yeah.
I started thinking about this idea about converting alleyways into something more attractive, green spaces. But man, and this is a point that our one of our exec members brought up. He just said randomly in the chat before we got on this call that, hey, there should be more spaces for biking around
Yeah.
the city. And the thing is, look, I think the biggest challenges that cities face today is with their layout and how to implement having a proper balance between bikes, cars, and well, in Montreal we have these scooters. Wait, what are they called? The ones we want to
Lime
race down?
scooters. Lime scooters, they've technically been banned, but there's always a possibility that they come back.
Dude, I kind of regret us not racing down.
Yeah.
Dude,
So to put it into perspective, we had a little.
this was during Halloween. This was a year ago.
This was a year ago. A year ago today, we were walking around the Concordia. I was going to say the Concordia. Whoops. And we had this idea that it would be really fun to go on a scooter or on a skateboard all the way down Guy.
Yeah.
But like starting from the top, like starting where guys cut the net and going all the way down. Fun fact, it's not possible now because it's under construction. But what we were gonna do was I was gonna wear an Iron Man costume, and Mo was gonna wear a Captain America costume, and we were gonna prove who was the better Avenger by speeding down the hill.
The racing man. we could have gotten arrested for that if we actually did it.
Oh, 100%.
But I was mentally ready for that. I was mentally ready.
I don't think we ever talked about being arrested for this.
I was thinking about it, but I didn't want to say anything to make you back off of the idea. But
Fair.
I guess we just didn't have time because of midterms, especially
Fair.
around this time. So, but we have to, man, we have to, like, when we think these ideas, our biggest problem is we always try to find ways, and this goes to anything, right? We always try to find ways to get out of it. Even if you
Yeah.
want to develop something, you want to incorporate something in the city, you have an idea. But you know what? Obviously, when you think of an idea, you tend to criticize yourself. Well, I think that's what a good person somebody who explores ideas needs to criticize their own ideas in order
For
for
sure.
actually understand the constraints it may have in place if you're trying to actually implement it. So, but the thing is, sometimes I feel like, look, don't be a huge pessimist. Just
Yeah.
try to find ways to go around, not illegally, obviously, but that depends on your own ethics and morals. But dude,
Don't
man,
let's
I
go
feel like
out,
we should have
guys.
not had any hesitation, because if we did get
Yeah.
arrested, imagine, right?
Yeah.
We would have like gone down the road in 10 years to be like, yo, dude,
Would have been
I'm
the
glad
story
we
that we
did
told our
that, dude.
grandkids.
Hell yeah. And
Like,
then they
instead
would
of
get
this is how I
arrested
met your
too.
mother, this is how I got arrested by the city of Montreal.
Oh man, we should have done it, dude. And no, we're gonna, you know what? I'm saying
We'll
this
do
right
it one day.
now. We have to. Even if
Yeah.
even when we graduate on Zoom, we're gonna do it
Yep.
post pandemic.
Yep.
Settled. We said it
Yep.
on the record, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Anyways, kind of went off track there, but yeah.
How did that have to do with the green spaces and
Yeah, no,
alleyways?
so so you know what, man? I was talking about how biking would be tough, and
Yes.
having a proper city structure with
Yes.
having both vehicles and bikes, and maybe these scooters if they ever do plan to make a return.
Yeah.
Man, you know what? Like, even when the scooters initially released, I knew for a fact that this was going to be abused in a
Yeah.
weird way. They would be left at random spots. The whole system for it wasn't set up, and I think having a proper system for each type of transport, whether that be the metro, vehicle, bike, there has to be a set system for it, for
There
things
has
to
to be
work.
a set system. I do agree with that, but it has to be integrated.
Yeah,
If you have a
synchronized.
metro
I was gonna say that.
synchronized, it has to be together. If you have a Bixie station that's like too far away from a metro, what's the point?
Yeah.
If you have these scooter stations away from the metro, what's the point? Or these scooter designated parking areas, or whatever the city wants to call them. We actually worked on a proposal last year when we were working on Gorilla Park to make a mobility hub. And I think that's what McGill College would do. I think it will bring together the connection of alleyways. Also, north-south corridor. And yes, it's bad walking, but it's even worse biking. You could bike on de Maisonneuve. You could get away with biking on Sherbrooke, but not the most pleasant experience in the world when there's de Maisonneuve. I think that part of the plan will include bike lanes on
And
McGill College. Like, it would make sense. It's connecting Place Ville Marie, which has a ram station, to the rest of the downtown core. And if you're not telling me that people don't want to hop on their bikes to go to Timeout, or to go to the new Place Ville Marie, or to go from there to the mountain, because this is literally directly connecting to the mountain.
so, you know what? From personal experience, I love the whole connection between Bonaventure, Place Ville-Marie, and then
Yeah.
going all the way to the Eden Center. And dude, when you spoke about the Timeout Market, I got really excited because I absolutely loved that place when I went a few times. It's just beautiful in terms of design. It's just beautiful. It's attractive.
Think about it. Like, we have the underground connection, right, between Place Ville Marie and the Eden Center.
Now, did you see the market? I don't know what it's called. I forgot the name, man, but they have a market also, like, that resembles Timeout Market in the Eden Center food court. They completely revamped that as well.
No, they
Beautiful.
completely revamped the Eden Center food court to be Timeout Market.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Place Ville-Marie's food court.
Oh, yeah. Place Ville Marie has a higher end food court that's been
a little bit more pricey from what I remember, but the thing is, they were going with the same concept. Now, my biggest concern here is I don't know if uneven development can be posed as an argument, especially when you compare this whole area. And how long would you consider this area be, like the whole vicinity? How long would you say that is? Because it's very different from, let's compare it to Atwater.
Yeah.
Or is like, you know what I'm worried about, right? I'm just worried about the development pattern that's going on here.
Yeah. So
I think something is worth mentioning.
It's something worth mentioning. There is a lot of development there, and like if there were a metric that said development per capita, yeah, that area would be very high. Um, but there are reasons for it. When COVID wasn't a thing, the number one destination for like I've looked at the origin destination surveys. Number one destination is Placerville Marie, like by far. It has the most people, and it's always been like the historic downtown. Oh, sorry, not historic. Since the 1970s, it's been the downtown core. If you count like how many people go to McGill University, if you count how many people go to Placerville Marie for work, or work within a block of Placerville Marie, it makes sense that all this development is happening in this area.
And I love Placerville Mahi.
Yeah,
I look, being a student too, walking by,
and
even
even
especially,
Concordia is a 9 minute walk away, right?
and but do you see the differences between those areas? And the thing is, look, there are obvious reasons to those differences. It's more of a professional setting, I would say, Placerville Mahi, as opposed to Concordia, which is more, let's say, student. Like, I want to compare, look, I'm not saying, actually, no, I am saying this. Being a student and being a professional is two very different things,
Very
right?
different. Yeah,
Very different schedules, very different routines, different types of attire. Like you give a different presence, and basically it all builds up and gives you a different presence around your neighborhood or around your area which you're in.
yeah,
And I guess what I'm worried about is the rate of development. For thing is, every place is developing. That's not even a question
yeah,
in its own way. But the thing is, I feel like when one place as high tier as Placeville Mahi is at an exponential rate, I can see the development in my eyes. And when you can see it in your eyes, that shows how fast they really are going,
yeah.
right? So when I see Placeville Mahi and I see at the rate it's going compared to other areas which could use it as well, I'm a little bit skeptical for the future. What do you
Yeah,
think?
but I would say that a lot of these projects were planned before COVID hit. Um, plus, the Lavenu McGill College was started in 2018.
Mhm.
Right? The REM was developed way before that. The timeout market was, even though it opened last year, it's still open before all of this happened. Um, and one thing is, even like the whole downtown core has been a development priority, right?
Yeah.
If you look at like what's happening around the CNLA, they're completely redeveloping that area right now. Or even if you're looking at Plastic Canadien,
Yeah.
what they're trying to do is they're trying to create the downtown as a destination because people have not been going downtown, or they're trying to make it attractive, or they were trying to make it attractive for the workers that would frequent this area and spend their time there, right? So
Right.
that was the mindset. And now the problem that they're going to be facing is how do we get people back downtown?
I'm not going back downtown.
Yeah,
See ya.
exactly. But you don't want to go back downtown. But if you have these exciting projects, you're like, okay, timeouts markets downtown. Um, I could hop on the REM and I'll get downtown. Cool. I could still live far away and I'll be downtown in 10 minutes. But
Yeah.
like a lot of work that they're doing, reinvesting in St. Catherine, reinvesting in Cafeteria Spectacle in 2003, I believe. Don't quote me on that one.
Mhm.
The projects that are happening in Lucien Levy, the REM, it's all a matter of bringing people to the downtown. Now, is this the right strategy? It's not the best strategy, but like if you look at the city's priorities, their priorities right now are getting people in the downtown or getting businesses back in the downtown. I've talked to a few city officials about it, and like that's what whenever they release their next plan, it's going to be reinvesting in the downtown core and attracting families back to the downtown core.
Thing is, and do you think all this construction is a way of reinvesting into bringing people back to downtown?
Um,
With the rate of
so
construction we're seeing, especially in this city and the surrounding neighborhoods of this city, the amount of construction, there's an
I
abundant
think
amount,
it's
right?
I think it's a starting point. I
Okay.
think um I think it's a starting point. So in any place you need mobility, right? So the McGill College project is a great example of this, right? It's
Hmm.
making it like before you're walking on a terrible street that sucks to walk, and now you can walk on an urban boulevard with trees that is designed for pedestrians. I think that's a lot better than what it is now.
Okay, last question to you to
Yeah.
end this episode off, because this is one thing that I had in mind. So I see, you know what I've noticed living for 23 years now, I guess, or like, just seeing, actually, let's rephrase that, seeing things more in a different manner, having a different viewpoint, or looking deeper into things. One thing I've noticed around, and this is a problem with every city that I've noticed, not every city, but every part that I've visited around the world, where people get so excited over developing a new project, a new area, but then they end up forgetting about some original problems that they had to get done. They tend to avoid those problems, and then they go skip onto these newer developments, and then those problems are left to dust, not focused on, or just abandoned completely. Do you think we have this issue in our city? Because when I look at these projects, I'm like, great, but are there things that you initially have to fix first in our city?
Yeah,
It's
I
it's a
get what
very
you're
deep
saying.
question, but
I
I
get
just
what you're
had.
saying. I think what okay, first off, I think what's important is what the public wants and what the public needs. And I think defining what they want and what they need is an important step that often gets ignored, right? But if you ask people who live downtown, they will say that they want more green space. Um, Now, it doesn't really answer your question, I know. But what I will also say is I think that it's exciting to see that there's projects going on,
Mhm.
right? It's better than Detroit. Sorry, Detroit. Where there is nothing going on except a tire rolling across the street or like the city being set on fire. Um, and I think it's promising to see that there
Oh,
is
dude. Okay.
development happening. And
Yeah.
I say that because when there's development happening, it means A, that somebody cares, right? If there's 5 design competitions, 5 firms at least that were picked from this design competition, somebody, the architect at least maybe cares, right? Or the fact that the city is investing in these priorities and is coming on behalf of the city. I'm like, okay, our city is doing something. Is it the right thing? No, that's a completely different story. But they're doing something, right? It's not like, hey, we're not doing anything at all.
Just relaxing.
So on that note, like, yeah, there are other projects that should have been prioritized before. Um, One thing Montreal sucks at, is notoriously bad at,
You tell them, Aaron. You tell them.
is coordinating projects,
Oh
right?
yeah.
There could be a project happening a block away, and like 2 projects happening a block away, and they have no clue that they're both doing a project, and they have no clue what their detours are. Um, and I think it's hard to lose track of what development projects actually matter. Like, I could talk about the Palais de Congrès being extended again. Wow, great project, really relevant. Or I could talk about the REM. Or I could talk about whatever's happening in Lucien Hellgate. All these are really cool development projects that are happening at once. Yes, it's a little overwhelming to see how much is happening at once, especially in one area. But it's still a sign of progress.
Hey, let me say one thing.
Go for it, Bo.
Okay. I think I'm just questioning the approach that's taken. And I think that's what you were saying as well, with the lack of coordination that we see between
Yeah,
development. And
yeah.
Concordia, fix your tunnel. Fix your metro tunnel, man. Dude. Like, look, I'm basically, I guess, if you want me to go into a little bit more detail, I think cleanliness and hygiene needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Especially in the 21st century, we've reached this point, man, where we need it. COVID. Ah, okay. So yeah, no, I think I was going a little deep with that, but no, like, yo, props to you
Like
for
there
attempting to
are
answer that
other
question.
things that need to be fixed. Yes, Concordia's tunnel needs to be fixed, but that's not a city of Montreal priority, right?
That's why I
And
called out Concordia.
as we wear their name. Uh
I love you guys, and I want to see improvement. That's what I'm asking,
yeah.
right? So if I'm
But
criticizing, I'm
like
not hating. But
we need
hey,
to see development across the whole city, right? Like I could name projects that I want that I've wanted forever, but it doesn't mean that they should get done. or does it mean that it's feasible to get done? But like I still think seeing the fact that there are projects is better than no projects at all.
Yeah, I guess if you want to think of it
And
that
seeing
way, sure.
people use these projects or see people care about these projects is what gets me, right? Over 1,000 people showed up to the public consultation for the McGill College project. That's quite a bit of people, right? That's like breaking quarantine a la a lot, right? Like at least 1,000 divided by 6.
But do you think, honestly, let me ask you an honest question, right? Before we end
Yeah.
this episode. If McGill's name wasn't there, if it was another project, do you think the attendance would be that high? I don't think so.
Ooh.
Dude, it's just things like, look, I like bringing up
Yeah.
these. I like being a little bit of
I will say that yeah, McGill, the name McGill definitely changes it. The fact that it may have been organized through McGill definitely changes it. But historically speaking, the initial project in 1984 to develop this project was one of the first public consultations in Montreal to work on modifying a development project. So I think it's still really relevant.
Yep. No, for sure, it is. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And
no,
like
and
we could go on and on about the what ifs. Like, what if McGill's name wasn't associated with it? What if a
yeah,
monkey planned the city? What if the monkey threw a banana peel over the whole city, and then we just had to drive up with a banana peel?
they haven't. Okay, wait. Anyways, yo, I guess we should end off the episode in that way. Aaron, thank you so much for all the information you have provided. I'm sorry
Yeah,
for the tough questions, but I just love doing this to you. I love getting you thinking, and hopefully, and I know for a fact we can do a part two on this specific
yeah.
project. I know we kind of went a little bit deeper into the whole city and our whatever we've learned in our program, the things to question. But you know what? Hopefully, you guys enjoy this episode. Episode number 2 is complete. And take care, everyone. Aaron, say bye to the beautiful
Everybody,
people.
have a great evening, day, or morning, whatever time you're listening to us at. Thank you for listening, as always. And at this moment in time, go outside and enjoy your city.
Stay safe. Okay. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.